just a quick check who's in the room. Can you raise your hand? Sort of up to the level of how much you know about eHerkenning Wallet. So if you just leave your hand down, you know nothing. If you stand up and wave, you know everything, and everything sort of in between. So I get a bit of feeling of the room. Well, I think there's, okay, we have a mixed room. We have hands down, hands up, high up, middle. I'll try to go also then with the medium story. If you need more, I'll be here all day if you want to go deeper. I'll just dive in. At Center of Excellence, we always try to do use cases together with organizations and stakeholders, so we don't work for one client, and we try to work for the whole ecosystem in the Netherlands. And this was a use case that was actually a combination of working with iSHARE, but also working with Company Passport. And Company Passport is an organization in the Netherlands that aims at sort of progressing the use of the wallet for organizations. And it has been founded by, it's actually coming from a bit of the public sector, so it has been founded by the tax office, by the Chamber of Commerce, by the Association of Notaries, and also ABN AMRO was involved from the inception, and it has been moved on to all the banks now joining from the Betaalvereniging and the Vereniging van Banken, so the Dutch Banking Association, because they all see the same thing. We need to be able to have trusted data exchange about companies and about how to found a company and how to prove that a company exists and how to do business with a company digitally, high trust. And that's where Company Passport is sort of their vehicle to do exploration on this. Sort of already ahead of eHerkenning, they started this, and now eHerkenning is coming, and it sort of fits nicely with their ambition. So we work together with both, and well, we made quite an extensive report that you can all download on our website. So you go to coedsc.nl, you click use cases, then you select cross-sectoral, because this is something that's for all sectors, and then you find this report. And just to show you, there's a lot of content in there and a lot of diagrams. I'm not going to bore you with all the diagrams today. I'm going to try to summarize the report in 3 to 5 slides. So actually you've read it in 5 minutes. So it will be a bit of a lecture, and then we'll go into questions. So basically the wallet is part of the European Digital Identity Regulation that's coming. That is basically a regulation that creates a standardized, trusted ecosystem to share credentials. That's basically what it is. And Gerard gave the example of the car. I think this is also a case that works here. So the wallet is designed in such a way. Imagine that you want to rent a car. You can use this wallet. First, you knock on the door of the 𝐶BR, so the Dutch organization that hands out driver's licenses. And you say, well, look, I have a driver's license. Can I please have digital proof that you say that I have a driver's license? And you store that in your wallet. And then you go to your car rental company. You say, I'm here. This is my proof that I have a driver's license. And it's signed. It has a signature on it. My signature and a signature of 𝐶BR. And then this car rental company in Spain, they don't know you. They don't know the 𝐶BR, but they say, okay, let's check. So yeah, you bring the credential, but they do a check to check for 2 things. One of them is this credential actually signed by the 𝐶BR, who is actually the authority in the Netherlands who gives out driver's licenses? Answer is yes, okay. We still don't know if you're allowed to drive a car, because your driver's license might be revoked. You might have been arrested for drunk driving. It might actually be no longer valid. So they also check to see if your driver's license is not on the revocation list. If it's not on the list, okay, then we have now digital proof that you are the owner of a valid Dutch driver's license. They can give you the car, and if there's any insurance thing happening, and I think this is also important about eHerkenning, they just show this proof. So look, we checked using eHerkenning, and then it's a very solid legal ground. It's in such a way that the evidence is sort of flipped. So somebody else needs to prove that it was not the case. Throughout Europe, standardized and accepted. I think that's very important. It's not just technology, it's a whole legal framework around the acceptance, the mandatory acceptance of those credentials. So if we go in a bit, there's actually 2 types of wallets. There's a wallet for persons, and the one that I just explained is actually my personal wallet, which has my driver's license. But there's also a wallet for companies or for legal entities. And yeah, apologies for the small letters. There's actually quite some differences between the 2 wallets. So I as a person am the acting, I act on behalf of myself, or I might act on behalf of InnoPay. But in the Netherlands, companies don't act. People act on behalf of companies, or even software acts on behalf of a company, but never, and then it's still people who have to sign that the software acts on behalf of a company. So that's a big difference between personal and legal wallets. Also, who accesses such a wallet? So in case me, I'm the owner. If it's a company wallet, you might have a whole list of people accessing a company wallet. The interface, if you say wallet, people think it's a mobile phone. A company wallet is a server. It's not a mobile. Companies don't have mobile phones. They have servers. So just think of it as a vault, more than a phone. So what are the types of attributes you would put in such a wallet? Well, in a company wallet, you put attributes about a company. Is the company ISO certified? For instance, ISO certification is about companies, not about people, it's about companies. I think also in cost in the regulation, there's also quite an important difference. The natural person wallet is free. And here, free means Dutch government will pay for you to get a free wallet. And someone needs to pay, right? It has signatures in it, they cost money. Somebody pays, but the government pays for the use of citizens of this wallet. The regulation says government does not need to pay for the professional use of wallets by a natural person. And also the regulation said that government does not need to pay for company wallets. And especially for company wallets, we expect that there will be a business of organizations selling company wallets in a certain manner. There will be a business of companies need to pay to get their company wallet. Also acceptance. There is mandatory acceptance for the wallet. So organizations in Europe are mandated by law to accept the personal wallet. And I think it will be a Christmas gift in 2027. Some people have made this calculation. If you go through all the regulations, you end up Christmas Eve 2027 mandatory acceptance. And acceptance starts for banks, for energy companies, there's a whole list. Also the big platforms like Facebook, Microsoft, mandatory acceptance. The regulation doesn't make any difference in mandatory acceptance for persons or for legal entities. What we do see is that it's much less well worked out. How would this look like for acceptance of these company wallets? But we have some time yet, and there's a lot of people working on this. So we used, actually Rick, we used your case. We looked at 𝐷VU, because we also knew 𝐷VU already from our interactions with you and with Gerard. And we looked throughout the 𝐷VU use case, where would you use this wallet instead of what's happening now, or in parallel with what's happening now, and found actually 3 places where this wallet adds value for iShare. Number one, the most easy, in the wallet you can share that you're an iShare member. You can, in your wallet, a credential that says, I've passed the technical checks, I've signed the document, I'm an iShare member. And I can share this, and someone who doesn't trust me that I am actually a member can ping back to Gerard, basically check if I'm not revoked, indeed you're still an iShare member. And you don't need any complicated technical means for that, because my wallet just transports this credential to the place where I'm handing it in. Second one is, it keeps falling out, I'll fix it later. Second one is, if you also look at 𝐷VU, for instance, you go to the cadastre, because you need to prove that you're the owner of a utility building. Also that can be in your wallet. If the cadastre would have an issuing capability, they can issue this credential into your wallet, and you can also make that, at least do it a bit different, but also do it standardized, do it legally accepted throughout Europe in a standardized way. So that's the second one. For that, you do need to convince all the other players in your system that they need to start issuing credentials. And I think here the mandatory aspect comes into play, because organizations like cadastre will be mandated to accept wallets. Energy companies will at least be issuing credentials to consumers. So also the issuing itself is not different into a legal wallet or a personal wallet, or not so much. So we expect this to be relatively straightforward, because sort of the personal wallet paves the way. And then the third part, that's actually something that the wallet doesn't think about so much. You use wallets to carry quite not so dynamic data. do you have a driver's license, yes or no? It might change a bit over time. What you will not put in a wallet is, what is my actual bank account at this time? Or if you look into logistics, what is the actual location of the package? It makes no sense to put it in a wallet because it changes every second. We do think for iShare, which is, I think for them a very interesting thing to develop, and, is you can use the iShare framework and you can use wallets to provide access to an API that actually has the streaming data. So you can use the wallet sort of as the key, like the driver's license, like the driving example. iShare and the wallet is the key. You can open up, you can prove that you're allowed to share, and then the sharing of dynamic data will go more in a API typical data spaces model. So those three things. There of course are still a lot of challenges with this wallet, and we're still working on the specifications. Adoption needs to have a little bit of a push. I think consumer adoption will, and because it's free and it's mandated, those are the things the EU can help to push adoption. For the company wallet, we'll just need to see if this adoption really happens. And as a final remark, I think we are lucky in the Netherlands to have eHerkenning, because it is a service-based mandating service. So it means that I can mandate someone to log into the tax office and do taxes on my behalf. If you look in the rest of Europe, you don't mandate someone to do taxes, you mandate someone to do all kinds of financial stuff. You just mandate a person with a self-described role. You cannot mandate it electronically for very specific services. We can make a very fine-grained mandating structure in the Netherlands that's actually difficult to get organized across borders. So I really hope that in Europe we also get some kind of e-recognition.eu. I think that would also really help in getting this wallet accepted. Final thing, if you look at eIDAS, it specifies, we came up with this analogy. eIDAS specifies a rocket. There's a rocket and it will launch from A to B and it will land somewhere, but it doesn't specify what's in the rocket, so the payload. And I think there is a big also opportunity for instance, iShare already defines its own payload. How do you talk about being a member of iShare? Gerard has designed how you talk about being a member of iShare. But for instance, when we work with the company passport, they're, for instance, designing now what is the payload of how a business would actually talk about itself, saying, I'm a business, this is my Chamber of Commerce number, these are my directors, I'm a BV. What does it actually mean if you're a BV? How would it be translated into Germany? Those kind of questions. And what we also noticed is it's important not to specify only what the content means, so what does a BV mean, but also what does revocation mean? If you're revoked, if your driver's license is revoked, what does it mean? Well, it means you're not allowed to drive in the Netherlands. But what does it mean if you're no longer the owner of a BV? It might mean that last year you were the owner of a BV, and your transaction is about your taxes of last year. So that's actually quite complex. What does the revocation mean? And I think then there's like 4 different roles you could play here. That's also something that we gave as an advice to the company passport. It's about to make these agreements on the structure and the meaning of the payload, but it's also you can set up a governance to define those meanings. Who would you like to involve to have a joint agreement throughout the whole sector that this is actually what should be in the payload? How can you get accreditation for that? And also, you should think about, should you also play a role in getting this adopted? I think this is the very short summary of quite a thick document we made. That is, I really recommend reading it. And for me, that's it.